Hey everybody, Dr. Diane, your Libido doc, celebrating Women Entrepreneur Day today. And we're going to talk about that in context of libido today. So as most entrepreneurs know, whether they're female or male, there can be so much overwhelm with being an entrepreneur. There's so many different hats you might wear. You might do anything depending upon where you're at in the level of your own being an entrepreneur. You might do anything from cleaning the office to making administrative calls to doing all of the deliverables and all of the marketing. And if you're higher up, maybe you're managing the team or running the operations and doing the vision. There can be so many different hats. And there can also be this thing that happens with there's this like fear of what if it all goes away? Right? And so many entrepreneurs that I have talked to at levels of greater success than me and smaller success than me have this very common feeling of like, well, what if it all goes away? What if you just wake up and like, even if you're doing amazing work in the world, which I'm sure you are, what if all of a sudden people just don't find you anymore, right? So there can be so much stress around being an entrepreneur. And one of the things that will happen with that is oftentimes we get our amygdala, the part of our brain that's the amplifier. This part of our brain amplifies things. So if we're scared, that fear is amplified in the amygdala. But if we experience happiness and joy and connection, that part is also amplified in the amygdala. So there's so many different ways to balance stress and to deal with the complexities of being an entrepreneur, which I think it's just a wonderful place to be in the world. I love being an entrepreneur and creating things in the world, and it does come with stress, right? So one of the things that I have found that is just a beautiful way of supporting the amygdala, that amplification center of our brain to amplify the good and to stay balanced so that you can bring more of your gifts into the world is through the hormone oxytocin. So oxytocin, I talk about, right? That's the pleasure hormone, the love hormone, the cuddle hormone, and it is the hug hormone. And one of the things I want to say is like we can embrace a friend, a partner for a 20-second hug. That's the minimum amount of time for a good oxytocin release. But oftentimes we are missing the boat with allowing this chemical to show up in our brain to really balance our amygdala, to get our amygdala excited about life, to get our amygdala calm, to amplify the good things, to balance out the challenge so that we can really get restored to again go into the world and create. And so the more we can lean into a hug, like what I see in studies is the more like if we're going to use a hug to balance our oxytocin, the more we can lean into that and actually feel for 20 seconds or longer dropped into that connection, that emotional touch, that heart connection, right? The more we can actually be present in that, the more we actually get that chemical being released that's going to help support our amygdala, help support our life, help balance that stress, help keep us present in the moment. So I really think pleasure practice is a very, very, very important thing for entrepreneurs. When I do my 90-day plans around business and my work in the world, I also include my 90-day pleasure goals. Because what I've seen is that when I do activities that are designed to bring me into the moment to experience pleasure, I get recharged and rejuvenated, and I go back into my work ready to give and ready to give back to the world. So the pleasure of that hug, the pleasure of sensual touch, the pleasure of experiencing orgasm with your partner, all of these things can be amazing for actually restoring that stress response and to help you with all of those hats you're wearing to really be able to give your gifts back to the world. So definitely consider 90-day pleasure goals as part of your activities. And, in this, the more actionable you make it, the better, right? In the work of BJ Fogg and James Clear around tiny habits, atomic habits, the work that is like the way we get the most pleasure, right? The way that we create habits that last are when we do these small, tiny increment things that we can commit to. So creating a 5-minute exercise once a week where you're going to drop into your pleasure body and just experience the sensations of your breath, the tea, your partner's touch, that hug, right? 5 minutes a week, if that's what you can commit to, is a good and very great starting point. It doesn't have to be this huge, lofty goal, but it does help to just get started. All right, well, happy Entrepreneurs Day. Thank you so much to all of you who are bringing your amazing gifts to this world to make this world a better place. It sure does take a village, a country, a nation, a world to improve upon where we're at today. So thank you again for watching, and thank you for what you do.